In 5, 4, 3. That's the motto, and that is it for us today. And we'll leave you with it. I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the Wolff Den. Happy Thursday. Wolff Den is presented by Win Again Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great networking events in the club room. Check out the website, winacademy.com. Today's guest, Aishik. We're going to talk about Flash Play Lives, NFT, trading cards, fan experience, and all that good stuff. Aishik, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Pleasure to be here. I saw some of the pleasure to be in a Wolff Den. I saw some of the guests who were on here before, so it's great to be in that company.
Yeah, we've been lucky to have some great guests, and we're going to have a great conversation today. Tell everybody who you are and a little bit about Flash Play Lives.
Sure.
Flash Play Live.
Yeah. So I'm Aishik, founder of Flash Plays Live sports app. And simply put, our goal is to bridge the digital gap between fans and the teams and teams and fans. And the way we do that is we have teams incorporate our gameplay, and that provides alleys for their sponsorships, and it provides a monetizable loyalty pipeline.
And so it's a form of gamification.
Yes. So, I mean, our basic gameplay is we ask 8 questions throughout a game, and based on how well they answer them, they are rewarded by team rewards like fan merchandise. What it can be tickets, it can be whatever.
In a trivia type setting.
Yes, exactly.
Exclusively trivia?
So it can be like it can be a question like how many passing yards will Tom Brady have in the next quarter? It can be how many rushing yards will Derrick Henry have on the next drive? Really spans all those.
Oh, but the questions are related to that specific game, not
exactly
the team or season or anything in general. It's that specific game to keep them engaged in that game.
Yep. And like what we noticed is so many people these days especially are on their phones while they're watching games. So we felt like the best way to attack, especially the young audience, is to provide something on the phone so they're constantly engaged.
Yeah, I hate that I'm on my phone when I'm watching games. I used to never do it. I'm on it more. Is the trend for that going to be a gambling? Are you looking to do a gambling aspect in some form down the road? Because I think that's the direction that, fan engagement and mobile at a game or during a game was going to go anyway.
Yep. It's on our radar, and it's on a lot of teams' radars. I think this year especially they're looking for some instant revenues. A lot of teams are going to go the gambling route. For us, we want to definitely create some separation from that because we feel like it's important for fans to experience a season-long journey versus when you're gambling or betting, you kind of go into a game and you either win or you lose. For us, it's like, maybe you did well, maybe you didn't do so well, but no matter what, you earned some credits that's going to go towards your total season-long holdings. So it's a season-long journey that we're trying to create.
And where can we find this currently? I know you said you're working with some teams. Is it going to be in stadiums and arenas this year?
So ideally, it's going to be on team apps this year, and that spans NFL teams, NBA, MLB. We're even in talks with some esports leagues, Bundesliga. It really goes on from there.
All right, great. Looking forward to that. What's your background? How did you get into this?
So I initially went into college as a pre-med major, and I really didn't like it. And I think it was sophomore year, Parth and I were the ones who founded this originally. We were just talking, and we wanted to create a game that combined gambling and fantasy sports because we were both into that. That's just really how it started. We were kind of just scrappy. We were lucky we had 2 developers come on and develop the app for us. And it kind of just took off from there. So in terms of background, really just pure entrepreneur. But yeah.
What's your specialty? I see you got some developers. I mean, are you a technical guy? Are you a marketing guy, a business guy, a numbers guy? What would you do yourself?
I would say product and marketing. So originally, when we came up with our first MVP concept, I took charge of designing the initial wireframes, and for that same year, I was marketing through social media. I was able to grow our user base from 400 to 6,000 in 5 months. So that's really what my specialty is. And then now it's just really business related, just general strategy, networking. Yeah.
What school did you go to, or are you still in school? I can't remember.
So I graduated from NYU.
Okay, so
just
you
ago.
you finished school, and then this is your first job per se, right? I mean, this is you start. It's crazy to think it, but it's happening so much more frequently now with internships and people even while they're in school. We'll talk about Clubhouse a little bit because I know you're active on that. But I met a 13-year-old who is monetizing, something. It's investing in real estate somehow or redoing computers. I don't even know. It was crazy. The guy's 12, 13 years old. And it's just crazy like that because, I remember when I was 12 years old, I wasn't even in college. I wasn't even thinking about internships, which I should have. I was playing fantasy sports. Just to tell you how old I am, when we were playing fantasy football, we were waiting until Monday to get the newspaper to manually calculate the scores.
No.
And so no one really, you had an idea that you did well. And I actually think there's value to the excitement of that rather than being by your phone every second to be like, oh man, I need this guy to make a catch or, I think I see the value in both, right? It's a lot of work to put that together and try and figure out. But fantasy sports are great. Are you into all of the fantasy football, basketball, baseball? What do you do?
100%.
Fantasy wise,
I would say, my specialty is fantasy football. I would say I'm pretty good at it. I usually either go to the championship or at least the semifinals every year. So if there's something I think I'm good at, it's that. But that's my number one. Number two is gonna be fantasy baseball. I'm not a huge baseball guy. I've gotten into it recently, but I've come to love it, honestly. Basketball and hockey don't really participate in those, but I mean, I'll draft a team here and there. In terms of the other stuff, I'll definitely bet on sports. I think it's extremely fun. I understand the gambling implications, but I think if it's done in moderation, it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I have a friend, my friend Rob. I don't know if he's listening in today. He's doing like $20 here and there, maybe one game a day. It's and they give you some free money to play with anyway, so you win. I remember I was in New Jersey with him, and we bet on. I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me try and bet whatever. I wanted to try it. I thought I'd get some promo stuff. Well, I ended up betting on the Browns Steelers on it must have been the Thursday night game, I think, or Sunday night game maybe. The Browns killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I won like $200 because there was some weird kind of promotion. It was, but that was I can't do it in Florida. Obviously, Florida, there's no sports gambling. So, and it's crazy how the app, it tracks you and understands. It's able to know, hey, you're in this state, you can't do it, or you're in that state. Eventually, all states will allow it. I don't, sooner than later, I would think. What sport do you like to gamble on or watch in general? Both. Most obviously everything.
Football is definitely my number one. It's my ride or die. I've been a Bills fan since I was 6, and since I went to my first game, it was game over. Like I've been obsessed. So yeah, football 100%. I do like college football a lot. I've come to appreciate the sport. I know a lot of people are like, like these guys they mess up too much. It's too these guys aren't even that good. I think it's a raw version. The way I like to put it, it's a raw version of what the NFL is, and that's like kind of the beauty of it. And then just knowing there's like a billion people in the audience from that college is going crazy. I think it's sick.
Yeah, it's college. I'm all in on college.
Yeah,
I watched it before I went to UF, but once I got there, it's everything: football, basketball, baseball, softball, even women's soccer, lacrosse. It's you feel like you're part. We always grow up saying we when we talk about our pro teams, but I really get the the feeling and the sense of we as a Gator. I'm a Gator, and I'll always be a Gator. And so, watching it is pretty exciting. I'm really excited for today. Tonight starts March Madness.
Yep.
That's a big gambling / gamified type thing with the bracket. Do you fill out a bracket?
I did. I got the Zags winning it all. I'm actually in 2 bracket pools. One is just your generic ESPN one, and I'm doing a little special pool with some buddies where I think it's cool how many variations of competitions you can do with March Madness in particular. Like what we're doing is it's a running total of points. Each person has a certain amount of points, and you get points based on how many teams you choose to win. And the amount of points that you win per game that you win depends on the seed number. So I think Florida's a 7 seed, right?
Yeah.
If they win and I choose them as one of my teams, I get 7 points. Yeah. And I can only choose 10 teams total.
I've seen pools like that where you get points for the seed and then knockout with the spread, right? If you have Duke, you pick out of a hat. If I have Duke, well, actually, that's a bad example because Duke's if I have Gonzaga and they win, but they don't cover, whoever had the team they were playing now has Gonzaga. And so that's some really cool and interesting, fun ways to do it. We had my friend and I used to alternate and pick teams and then see how you do, again, points, how you do, and see who wins. It's just I posted today. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I love it. It's a little bit weird. I usually go to New Jersey and watch with my friends, and we just watch all day Thursday and Friday. Weird to not be around friends. Weird to have Thursday actually be the playing game. So it's Friday and Saturday. Like to have Saturday be a first round day is just weird to me. And it's funny because it's the weekend. So it's like you would think no big deal, but part of the fun is like be taking off Thursday and Friday and saying, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm in front of the television all day, all night, eating and drinking and hanging out with the guys. I'm glad they're having a tournament, just at least having a tournament. How much do you watch the March Madness? Are you all day, every day? Is it first 2 days is the most important?
I mean, I watch pretty much every sport. So this is a big time for me as well. I'll probably watch maybe half the games from day 1 and day 2. I still remember like back in high school when I was filling out brackets with my buddies. As you mentioned, Thursday was the big one. Like remember Thursday at 12 was when everyone was on their phones. No one gave a shit about class. Yeah. Everyone was worried about that game and if they're going to get a win or a loss. So I think that's fun. But yeah, I'll follow the tournament pretty high key. Probably going to spend all of Saturday watching.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll see what happens. I think there's going to be chaos. I think there's going to be a team that gets eliminated from COVID, and
really,
then we're all going to be like, "Oh, they got lucky." All right, well, look, lucky, upsets, whatever it is. Stay in your room. Stay safe. We'll see what it's going to be. I think it's going to be nuts. I'd love to be in Indiana and kind of go to the different venues. I think that's cool. I actually think they should do that every year, pick a state and kind of just have a radius of venues. That's what I would do. I think you get a higher concentration of fans because if you look at some of these early round matchups back in the day, empty seats, like Thursday at noon, I mean, there's no one there at the stadium. And these are great games that I think people would like to attend. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to Flash Plays Live. It's obviously fan experience. What do you see in sports that is good about the fan experience, and what do you see that is lacking?
Yeah, I think the best part about the fan experience, as you mentioned, people are on their phones more, and I guess it's both a good and bad. It's good because it provides another alley for teams to access their fans. So if you want to really rep your team and your life is, relatively circulating through your phone, there's no better access point than that. So that's really the good part about it. The bad part about it is I feel like, and part of the mission of Flash Plays Live is we're trying to make these teams understand that they need to take better responsibility and utilize their digital assets. So that's really the good and bad.
Is there a point where it's too much? I mean, I get notifications, and then I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let me turn it off. There has to be. It's funny with Clubhouse. I was getting a lot of notifications. I'm like, oh my God. And then I put it to lower, and it's like not so many. And I'm like, well, someone needs to tell these guys what the definition of not so many is. You had to go all the way down to like the lowest level, which it's good that they give you levels, but I got spam from someone. I'm like, look, you're sending way too many emails. And then I just unsubscribe to it. Probably not feeling as much for your favorite teams, but I don't have notifications for my teams because I always know where to find that information. So how do you find the happy medium there?
Yeah. So we like to consider our gameplay the happy medium. It's only 8 questions throughout a game. 2 of them come out before the game, so you have like a 3-hour span to answer them. And then question 3 comes out at the end of the first quarter. Question 4 comes out in the middle of the second. 5 and 6 at halftime, and 7 in the third. And then question 8 comes out at the end of the third, going into the fourth. So it's like, I mean, we release questions during commercial breaks and halftime, pregame breaks anyway. So we feel like it's really not intrusive. There's only 2 questions that come out in the middle of quarters. So we really feel like our gameplay is the happy medium versus other platforms that they'll shoot out 50, 60 questions, and the people who win those games are the ones who are just sitting on their phone, not watching the game, and answering all 50, 60 of those questions. And we feel like there's a way better system than that.
Yeah. How about, talking about notifications and being connected not during the game, before the game, after the game, during games, off season, stuff like that. Is that something that's going to be available in your app? Are they going to be pushing information towards it, or they'll be doing other stuff?
So we still like to focus on the game itself. For example, I would say the 1 or 2 hours on Sunday before your favorite football team plays, like realistically, what are you thinking about? Like you're thinking about the game, right? Like
you're watching pregame and all that good stuff.
Exactly. So that's when we're active. Ideally, we could do stuff on off days. We could do some trivia contests here and there, but our bread and butter is always going to stick to that game day experience.
Can I play this game when I'm at home watching, or do I need to be in the arena?
You can play at home when you're watching. It's meant for that, really.
To play for home. Okay. Yeah, it's looking forward to it. I love trivia. I love winning things. Who doesn't like winning things? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because a lot of it's coming to that on your phone and being able to connect. So I think it's a great idea, and hopefully, I know the same thing for Ticket Time Machine. You just got to get some yeses, right? Once you get those yeses, and it's a copycat world, and they'll be like, oh, that's working well for you. Let's try that. So looking forward to seeing where that comes. You mentioned networking. I met you basically through Clubhouse, but then we connect a lot on LinkedIn. What's been working for you? Where do you network a lot, and what do you like? What do you don't like about some of these networking platforms? I know you're on Clubhouse fairly often.
Yep. So yeah, my big 3 are Clubhouse, Club Room, Win Again Academy with Mark, and then the Locker Room one. I forget what it's called.
Tim Claiborne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. So those are my big 3. I just really go in there to have conversations just like this with people, and then ultimately get to what I do, get to what they do, see how we can help each other out, and see whether there's any synergy. It's very simple for me. I feel like if you're kind of going in looking for something in particular, you may not get it. I think it's just always important to go with an open mind. In terms of like what I like the best, I think Club Room in particular has a really good setup in terms of like you can legit like go to different rooms. When someone first told me about it, I was like, okay, this is just like Zoom breakout rooms and someone's just gonna like switch them around. No, like I went on there and they actually like legit have rooms. So I thought that was really, really cool. I think this, like what Mark and Tim have on their hands, and I told them this, like this is like the modern day networking events, because who knows when when all this COVID stuff is going to end. Like Tim and Mark are like the pioneers in the sports world, at least, of these networking events. And I think just so much can come about it. It's just a matter of getting people on that platform. So really big props to them.
Yeah, I agree. I love both of those. There's some other networking stuff that I do. I actually turn everything into a networking opportunity. A webinar in the chat. Anytime I join an event, these conferences, I'm there more for the networking as opposed to the content that's there. I agree, with that with regards to Clubhouse as well. I know that we have been in the same room about trading cards / NFT. You've been pretty successful. I'd say you've been pretty successful in that world. Certainly the trading card world. Talk about trading cards, what it started for as you, what it is now in the NFT space, and explain what NFT is for the people who don't like it, because, obviously there's quite a bit of age difference in us. I was collecting cards back in the day to collect cards, and I thought there was some value to them, which was great, but that value actually dropped a lot. The market got saturated. And so, I still have a ton of cards. Some of them have value to it, but I don't get into the trading card world today where it's purely, I think it's a lot more investment than it is collecting, correct?
I would say so. I think there's definitely both. There's people who go in there just to make money, and there's people who go in there just to complete sets. So like they're looking for a particular exact card, and they just want to create a full set so they can put it on their wall and maybe sell that set, but they're probably just going to keep it and pass it down.
And so how did you get into cards? What was your card buying experience? Did you start as collecting and then investing? Did you jump right into the investment side of it?
Yeah, so I've always looked at platforms like DFS, sports betting, fantasy football, really just any way I can kind of make money on sports and just kind of have a stake in some of the games and get my own enjoyment out of it. So that's really what I was looking for in cards, and I got that and more. So when I first started getting into it, I followed some Instagram accounts, and at that point, I had no idea that card collecting was big. I knew baseball cards were big at one point, but I had no idea cards were going for hundreds or thousands and $10,000s of dollars. That was that the whole concept of that was by me. So I got in. I followed some people on Instagram. I was a pest. I DM'd people. I asked them crazy questions, and a lot of them got annoyed by me, but some really stuck by, and I appreciate them and still talk to them to this day. So like initially, I realized that you could rip open packs on Instagram Live. So you can go on an account that has like 4,000 followers. Every, let's say, Monday at 9 p.m., they'll be like, okay, we're going to break boxes. And you can put in, like, let's say $20 for 1/10 of those cards in that box, and they'll mail the cards to you. So it's like right now it's super hard to get cards at a Target or a Walmart or whatever. So a lot of people are resorting to this method, breaking on Instagram Live, and then people will ship you your cards.
And we used to go to the hobby store in Jersey and just buy full sets, and we buy boxes. They were actually relatively affordable. Now it's hard to even get into there. I mean, how much would you say if you wanted to start investing would you need to put in?
I would say anywhere from, for the best ROI, I would say anywhere from 500 to 1,000. If you want to roll with 100 or 200, your investment is relatively risky because you're settling for players like RJ Barrett or Gary Trent Jr., who might not pop off. It's definitely not a guarantee whether they're going to be something big or even an all-star at one point. But yeah, for the safest ones, I would definitely start off with 500 to 1,000.
And how do you know when to sell?
I aim for 2 to 3x returns. it's a lot of things. So once I get into 2 to 3x returns, I look at it and I'm like, okay, would I rather have this card itself, or would I rather have the money? And depending on my answer to that, I'll decide to sell it or not.
Yeah. Have you ever sold at 3x and then it goes to 10x?
Yeah,
Like,
a bunch of times, and I've regretted it. But yeah, if I see better value in other cards, I will shift over my stake to there because I'm not afraid to flip.
Right. The ticket world has a whole market for this too. I don't know if you've seen that. It's called Booger Stubs. We're gonna have some people from there, but they get their ticket stubs graded and they're selling them all. Some of them are selling like $5 a piece, but some of them go for. I saw one for like $2,500. I think it was might have been a Zion debut ticket, or maybe it was the Greek Freak. One of their debut tickets sold for like $2,500. And there's more expensive tickets, but it's the same kind of in that market. I don't know. For me, I love my tickets. Someone actually offered to buy a ticket that I posted. I'm like, I can't. I mean, you're not going to give me $100. I'm going to give up a ticket for something that means a lot to me. Short of you giving me a ridiculous amount of money, I'm not selling it. And part of that has to do with my cards too. I think I showed you my signed baseballs that I have that I got from my dad. So, I mean, there is a fine line between collecting and investing. Certainly a lot of the stuff I would sell if I needed to, if you need money. The older stuff, I don't know that. I think that's more collecting than investing. I would think the newer stuff is more. But what, aside from the value that they're just worth money, what do you like about the cards that you're investing in?
So I actually brought some with me. Let's see. So it's like, and I really thought about this. I think, like I'm looking at the Steph Curry card right here, right? So it's a BGS grade of 8.5 out of 10. So it's a pretty decent grade. And on the back of it, you can see that there was, let's see.
Yeah, numbered, limited.
Numbered out of 1948. So there's only 1948 of these cards ever produced.
How the hell they get to 1948?
Why'd they only get to that?
Yeah, that's a weird number to stop.
Oh no, it is kind of weird. Yeah, it's definitely not a round number, but just knowing the fact that this is in Steph's rookie year, he was a baby in this one, and just knowing that this is from that year, and at that point, Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry. It's kind of like the same reason you put value on Zion's debut ticket.
Well, I didn't know he was going to be, but you had that from day one, or you bought that?
I bought that recently.
Okay. And the expectation is that it's going to keep going up. I mean, if he wins more championships, I mean, what the other thing is, I don't even a lot of times, and I don't know this as much, so maybe you can talk about it. It doesn't seem like the cards are necessarily going up based on their performance or their team's performance. It's kind of just like the luck of the draw in some ways. Like, does someone buy it more, or did you, who knows? I don't know.
Mm. So every card is pretty much priced by the market itself. So people just like you and me putting values on these things. There are cards such as, like, if you look at Oscar Robertson from 1961. That card has gone up a decent amount in the past year. Probably, if I had to guess, 600%. And the reason for that, Oscar Robertson hasn't done anything since then. But the overall demand of the card market has gone up, so that price has gone up. On the flip side, you have players like James Harden and Kyrie Irving who have become more relevant this year. So we're seeing a lot of money being thrown at those guys. So yeah, it can be, in general, a lot of cards that you put on will go up simply because of the demand. But there are players who will shoot up 100% in a week if they have a crazy performance. Like, I remember Trae Young went crazy last year. Harden and Irving, for example, in the past 2 weeks, have seen a lot of money come in on them.
So, like everything, it's something is worth what someone will pay for it. And It's not like necessarily cars and TVs where there's a steady market of it, because that's just what it is everywhere. So they could go rise, but we've seen the housing market and all of that and the stocks could crash. Is there any thought that this might happen at some point? Because at some point you just got the barrier to entry, and it's just the only people who can afford it are the rich people, and then people might be like, you know what, I don't want this, or they see the next new thing and they want to just sort of get rid of the thing. Is there any thought to that? Or
Yep, I actually love that question. And like realistically, if I'm being completely 100% candid, yes, there's always a possibility that the whole entire market could crash. The reason why I'm more bullish on the market now versus the market you experienced when you were a kid, I don't even think I was born back then, but back then, card collecting was becoming very, very popular. And what the producers like Topps and Upper Deck and Fleer did was they pumped out a bunch of supply. So it came to the point where like, I don't know the exact years, but in 1 year, everyone's like, okay, I really want this Ken Griffey Jr. card. And then 5 years later, everyone's like, oh, I really want the Shaq rookie card. And then turns out everybody has the Shaq rookie card because they made freaking 15,000 of them. So like it's not
a lot of people lost their cards, right? They can't find them. They sold them. They didn't think much of it. So I think the supply for a lot of these are going down. Is there a place to find out how many of these are in circulation?
Yes, and the reason why I'm more bullish now is because these card companies are completely transparent with how many they're pumping out. How many are graded 10? How many are graded 9? They have everything. Every card is a serial number, pretty much everything. So there's even sites that will tell you the trajectory of every card. So what it was priced at February 15th, what it was priced at February 16th. They have graphs and everything. It's essentially a stock market, and it's like it honestly reminds me of the transformation we've had in stocks. Like back in the day, way back, there was no Robinhood, there was no Webull. You had to go into some random room and people would wave stocks in your face, right? Now it's completely different. So I think we're seeing this is like the digitalization of sports cards because of the internet.
Yeah. What's your favorite card that you have? It doesn't have to be the most valuable, just your favorite.
Yep. I would say my Josh Allen rookie PSA 10. So I actually bought 2 of them before the season with the intention of that I'm going to flip one and I'm going to keep one. So the other one I flipped, and this one I'm going to hold on forever because Josh Allen's my favorite player. The Bills are my favorite team. He's our Lord and Savior, so I can't let this one go.
Did I show you my Josh Allen shirt?
I think you did.
I'm going to show it to everyone else so they can see it.
Oh yeah.
Any Bills fans out there, and also we'll give Barstool Sports. So this is the shirt I got to help the Barstool Fund, and they have some great shirts for a lot of different stuff to support the Barstool Fund. But also you can get a shirt for your favorite team. So we love supporting Barstool and small businesses and people doing good stuff. The Bills, I think, are finally heading in the right direction. It's it's hard because I grew up a Broncos fan and we lost so many Super Bowls, but then we won 2. So you're like, great. And the Bills just had so many heartbreaks. It's like being alive or being around when Jordan was there and just never being able to beat Jordan. They just, they were good enough, and almost like the Braves. So I think the Bills, I think they're an easy team to root for. So we'll see what happens there. What's one card that you wish you had that you would love to have?
That's a good one. I would have to go with the Topps 1953 Mickey Mantle. Or 1952 Mickey Mantle, because I think baseball cards are always going to be when people think about trading cards, the first thing they're like, oh, baseball cards. So it's like baseball cards is like imprinted culturally into just what we do. So I think like baseball is going to be huge, and it doesn't get any better than the old classic Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, Honus Wagner used to be the most expensive one because has that been taken over yet?
Yes.
Or just an auction that raised a ridiculous amount of money for something.
There is there's at this point, it's really the case when we're looking at cards that are like 1950 and back, it's really the case of, what you can find. So there was a Mickey Mantle that sold for 5.2 million, and that was the record sale for a card. However, that was a graded 9 out of 10. There is a graded 10 out of 10 in circulation somewhere. It's been produced. Maybe somebody lost it. But if that were to actually be found and sold, it would go for upwards of 20 million. Which is like ridiculous. And like Honus Wagner, what is that, from like 1920, 1910?
No, yeah, it's old.
If it's way back then, like we're talking maybe the highest grade you can find is a 7.
Yeah.
If you can find a 10, we're talking like realistically 50, 100 million. But I highly doubt that's going to be found.
Yeah, I have this conversation because I think the tickets, and maybe not so much in the cards, but maybe in the cards a little bit. In the tickets, I like a little bit of character in it. I don't want a graded 10 ticket. It means it feels like, when I'm at a game, no one has a 10. If you went to that game, there's no way you have a 10 graded ticket. It's crumpled, it's folded in half to fit in your wallet or your back pocket, or you spilled some soda on it. Who knows what? I feel like the value shouldn't go down that much for that. I understand the cards. Obviously, it's almost like artwork. If there's a bent corner, it's not going to be worth as much as. But we used to play cards, cards for cards, like poker for trading cards and put cards in there. And so, it got a lot of action, without putting it in one of those sleeves. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see where this market's going to go. I applaud you for, getting into this and really making some money and using it as a form of revenue, because people do a lot of stuff like that, just flipping stuff. My friend flips stuff from yard sales, and he makes a ton of money. There's people want to buy stuff, and the one thing I've learned is people will overpay for stuff if they really want it, or if other people are having it, if it's the thing to have, and they overpay. And I think that's where this market is. Maybe a nice segue into NFTs. Let's talk about NFTs for a little bit. I know you've started to dabble in it a little bit. It's obviously getting huge now. It's started in sports. Now it's going to entertainment. Tell everyone, what it is and why you like it. And
Sure. So, I mean, NFTs, I'll just be completely honest, I haven't bought a single one yet. But I'm just, constantly trying to educate myself on the space, trying to see like what's going on, what people are interested in. Patrick Mahomes recently dropped an NFT line yesterday. I think they sold for tens of thousands of dollars. I think the highest sale was like 40,000. But in just generally, an NFT is a non-fungible token. So if you have a dollar bill, and I have a dollar bill, and we trade them, you take mine, I take yours, we end up with the same exact thing, right? There's absolutely no difference. So that's a fungible token. If you take an NFT and I give you mine and you give me yours, we have two completely different things. So every non-fungible token is.
I might have an NFT that's Mahomes, and you might have bought that same NFT.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same?
Yes and no. They are the same NFT. They should be worth the same, but they have different serial numbers.
So there's different value. Just if you value it more. If someone values it more and you're willing to sell it and I'm not, now that's at here.
Yeah.
So it keeps. You would think it keeps going higher, right?
Yeah. Or if that thing is trading for 1,000 and we have the same one, and I decide to sell mine for 800 because I need the money, all of a sudden the price of that thing is 800.
Well, at that time, but then someone else might say, "Look, go. Good luck. Find someone who's selling it for 800." Right?
Right.
Why did Gronk sell for 1.6 and Mahomes only, for less?
Because I believe the Gronks were there were one of ones. There was only one being produced, so I don't even think there was a case of a serial number there. Whoever had that one had the only one.
And they got an experience with it. That's one thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
To be in a game with him and get some stuff for it. So I see some value. I don't see 1.6 for it, but I see some value in it. Why wouldn't Mahomes do the one of one if it's proven that it can get you, $1.5 million instead of trying to sell 40,000? Because you got to sell 100 of those, right? Or
I think he could. I think what he did was actually a pretty smart move, because the whole reason why these people are dropping NFT lines, it's not simply because they just want people to buy their stuff. It's that they get royalties on when these assets are traded. So if people initially buy the Mahomes at 1,000, let's just say that, and 3 years down the line, people are trading that stuff at 50,000. Like Mahomes, like gets a benefit from that because he gets a cut off of every sale, and the more sales there are, the more money he makes. Versus the Gronk, where it's a one of one. How many sales are there going to be in a year? Maybe none. So that's I think was a pretty smart move.
yeah, it's. I feel like it's going to get saturated. I feel like there's manipulation. Same with the cards. I feel like there's fraud opportunity. That people get smarter on blockchain, and I already know there was people doing fake NFTs for artists. I sent you that article.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't bought it yet. It feels like getting in first is kind of where it needs to be, as opposed to at some point it becomes unattainable. Do you see that point, or do you see yourself dipping into it? I mean, you're a collector, you see the value in it, but you haven't dipped into it yet. Why is that?
Yep. I think, well, honestly, I think we're still very, very early. Like, I think this is still just the very, very beginning. And I think even if I get into this a year from now or 2 years from now, I'm still going to be early. Because I think this is going to be it's going to be as normal as the internet. And a lot of people are saying that. So I still think we're super, super early. Like, we're literally in the top of the first inning with one out. I think that's how early we are in the NFT world. So it's like, I think there's a lot that could happen. I'm just waiting. I'm educating myself, and I don't want to make any stupid buys. But yeah, like, I think what the real game changer that this is, and a lot of people are saying, like, okay, like, I can buy digital art. I can also take a screen recording on my laptop and print it out or whatever. I think what NFTs really does is that it creates things that are digital in a scarce way. So it basically introduces the concept of scarcity on the internet, to put it that way. So, like,
what about when there's just everyone's doing an NFT? Does that, even though certain NFTs are scarce, but everyone has an NFT, it's different than the card market because there's not a ton of new cards out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think naturally the NFT world, it doesn't just span sports. It can go to art, it can go to tickets, it can go to music. Like, I think the world it's essentially endless. So I think
right? Didn't a cat meme go for a lot of money or something?
Yeah, the neon cat.
Yeah,
that was huge.
Oh, look, we could talk. I know you got to run soon. We could talk about NFTs and trading cards all day, and I love that we keep trading messages about it. I appreciate your education on it. I know you're running out of time, so I want to get you one question that I ask everyone. You can meet anyone in the world for 24 hours. They have to be alive. You can't be related to them. It doesn't have to be sports, but it could be. Who are you picking, and what are you guys going to do?
I would say Josh Allen, no brainer.
Josh Allen.
First of all, he's our Lord and Savior of the Buffalo Bills, and just overall, I think his demeanor is perfect. He's not necessarily the most fiery guy. He's not going to get in your face, but he will when he needs to. And I just like how he carries himself. So I would like to learn from him, and that'd be.
What are you guys going to do? Obviously, just chat. You're going to watch games. You're going to play football.
Play football. I'd watch games. Maybe kick some Madden. Yeah, but great. Kind of tell him about NFTs and trading cards, making him into it. Like, it could be a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen for one of our guests. So Josh Allen is added to the list. Aishik, thanks for joining. Always great to talk to you. I think you got a real good perspective on a pulse on a lot of these industries, and we're hoping that Flash Plays Live takes off. Looking forward to seeing it at a game in the near future. Check him out, Flash Plays Live on Instagram and Twitter, flashplayslive.com. Aishik is on Clubhouse, LinkedIn. You have a TikTok account?
I do. It's actually Flash Plays Live _.
There you go. Flash Plays Live _. Check him out on TikTok as well. Have a great weekend. Have a great March Madness. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Have a good one.